All right. We have ignition. We have liftoff. Just camera's working good here. Seems to be working all right. Testing, audio test. Let me just make sure this is all right. Yeah, we're good. Okay. Alrighty. We are live. I like that. Running Rampage. I like that. Dino Running Rampage 25. Hey, Chris. Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. Love that you guys are watching, man. Like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here, right? What's going on, Will? Good to see you in there. Your Highness second. Yeah, we're in there too. Keep up the great work, Dan. Appreciate it, Dan. What's going on, Spring Hill? Come soon. Sweet. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate that. Glad to have fans out there. MEV, hey, what's going on? George Hauser, keep up the good work, Chris. Appreciate it. Circumference, you are a legend. I don't know about the legend part, but we're sure trying. Sean, what's going on, everyone? Hey, what's going on, Sean? Good to see you in there. John Grisey, hey, Chris, watching in UK. Sweet. I get you guys all over the place, man. Everywhere from, man, the UK, Canada, you name it, it's been there, you know. Got people from all over jumping in there, which is awesome. Kenneth Jackson, hey, Chris, hello again. What's going on, Kenneth? Yeah, it's early morning there. I get that. Yeah, because you're what? I think you guys are around, well, depends on where you are in the UK, because unless it's real early in the morning, because it's usually around 6 hours ahead of me. So, because right now I'm about 8 o'clock, a couple minutes past that. Are you watching? Hey, from Canada. What's going on there? Canadian neighbor there. Michael Martin. Hey, Chris, have you seen the Mars pic with the rat or prairie dog? And what's your thoughts? Truthfully, I've actually researched that myself and found that it's basically just a funky looking rock, although it does actually look like this. It almost looks like a stone creature, right? Like it's been carved, and that's a good possibility. Live creature, I'm not so sure of, but I don't know, right? I'm not there to see it. I've seen the picture up close. In fact, I've done a video a while back. I think it goes way back, of the objects that are in the background of it. If you look where that little supposed prairie dog is, if you look, it kind of drops down in the back of it and comes back up on another hill. There's all kinds of like what looks like something on a ridge and stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty crazy stuff there. And this thing just jumped ahead on me. I'm trying to reach in. I'm trying to read each and every one of these. Keith Warner, hi from Australia. Hey, what's going on over there? Good to see you guys in here. Henry Strait, Dallas, Texas. And if anybody who's interested, I'm over here in WV, or West Virginia, tri-state area, close to Kentucky as well as Ohio. London in the house, Jason. Good to have you in here. 1 a.m., John. That's, like I said, it's, well, so you're talking what, you know? So you're talking 5 hours, so that's about right. Let's see. Hello from Washington State, RK. Good evening to you. Denver, Colorado, Sean, we got you in there. Kenneth, I like that. I literally just got done watching your video. Yeah, I put that on there because I wanted to also remind you guys of the Hangout as well. I call it the Hangout because we used to do that on Google+. So we decided to just call it that, right? So we can call it that every weekend. Unless you guys got a better name, we can call it that too, you know. Manuel Garza. Hey, what's up, Chris? Hey, what's going on, Manuel? Or Manuel. Let me see. Staten Island's in the house. What's going on, Joe Power? Let's see. Gorilla Killers. Or Killer, rather. Hey, Chris, can I get a Photoshop program like yours for my Apple tablet? I'm I'm almost positive you can. You'd have to look it up because I know there's a lot of free versions of the ones for regular Windows. So you may find it there as well as for your Apple tablet. You might just have to look that up because, to be truthful with you, I'm not sure, right? I don't have Apple. I just run Windows, which I have to work out a couple bugs in this thing now that you mention that, because this new computer, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the actual aspect of the video was a little smaller on this video I just posted today. So for some reason, it's the same kind of computer as an HP, but for some reason, it's kind of goofy compared to the other HP that I had. It seemed to fit the screen just perfect. So it's just something in the settings or the GPU software itself. I'll have to check that out a little bit better. Let's see. We need a rover on Mars poles. Yeah, Your Highness. Yeah, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they already did. I mean, think about that a minute. I mean, you know, they're telling us, telling the public what they've got going there, but that doesn't mean that we've seen every single, mission, right? I mean, there's a lot that people don't even know. Even though it's public knowledge, a lot of people don't even know about a lot of these. So, yeah. Let me see. Eamon Barr, hi from Northern Ireland. What's going on there? Yep. Let's see. What's going on, Brittany? Love your channel, New Jersey. Kenneth Lair, what's happening? Good to see you in there. I don't know if you guys see my shirt. I don't know if you guys have had or seen these. These are pretty cool. What it says on the bottom, it says more water than California. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was back in, I don't know. It was a few years back. It was at least 5, 6, maybe 5 years ago that they had this serious drought in California. And I think this is when their shirt came out. So it was pretty funny. Skunk 420, your channel is always entertaining and thought-provoking. Good work. Well, that's the idea, man. Is to get people to think for themselves. Like I said, I always tell people, you don't have to, don't take my word as gospel. Just take the photo that I put in the links and then put it in Photoshop of your enhancing software, whether it be on a tablet, a phone, whatever it may be, right? And just look at it for yourselves. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what I did. I started watching people, like I said, one of the guys I started watching when I first started doing videos or wanted to make videos was Will Ferraro over there, What's Up in the Sky 37. And I said, well, you know what? I want to do my own because I've been already looking at these photos. Why not make them myself, right? But I never, I listened to what he said in the video, but then I went my own way. In other words, I didn't listen to every word he said. I did, but I didn't take his word as gospel either. I said, well, I might have different interpretations of that particular photo, right? So, and you guys will do the same. Sometimes you guys don't see what I see. Sometimes you do. And sometimes you see other stuff, which is awesome. So, we're all different people here, right? Oh, let's see here. This thing just jumped ahead again. I watch religiously from Portland, Oregon. Customer tailored, one. I appreciate that. Like I said, I love the idea of you guys jumping in there and saying hello and stuff like that, and any kind of questions you may have. Which, incidentally, I don't know how many of you guys are on the fence about, like the moon, missions. In other words, I have a lot of people telling me, man, I tell you what, how the heck did they get that Don Lunar buggy up there? I don't know how many of you guys have actually said that. Now, some of you people may be on the fence, right? Meaning you believe that they went, but you just kind of questions like, how do they do that? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. How do they get that Don thing up there? Well, I've got a link for you in case you're wondering, because that was one of the things I wanted to cover. But a lot of you guys are smart. I love the way you guys picked up on this, because one of the videos that I'd done where I had the Apollo mission going on, and of course I had the lunar buggy there, and everybody's going, where are the darn tire tracks to this thing? You're right. Absolutely. One of you subs said, oh, we see footprint, but why don't we see the tire tracks? Absolutely. You know why? Because it's being covered. That rover's not just driving, and you know what I mean? It's not just smooth ground. There's all kinds of things on that lunar surface, and they're either navigating around it or whatever. This is the reason why they're covering it up, and therefore it takes out the wheel tracks. See, if you guys notice on the Martian photos, you got the Curiosity and the Opportunity and so on and so forth. they will sometimes actually put fake ones in. So if there's something they're covering up in the background, they'll put these things, these tracks up to the rover, making it look like, oh no, there's nothing there. I don't know how many times I've seen that. On the moon missions, not so much. And that's because I don't believe that they thought anybody was going to scrutinize these photos. I mean, I don't know how many times people said, well, why would they even put these on there if they're trying to hide it? Well, again, these things came out in when? These photos were taken in, late 60s, early 70s, right? During the mission, whatever mission it was. They weren't expecting people with Photoshop and all this other stuff to be scrutinizing and pulling these photos apart, right? So, yeah, makes absolute sense. Let's see. Boom Osby. Chris, love your channel updates and fantastic. Last video you did on the moon, they were some cylindrical objects. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you guys are seeing these things. I don't cover everything, and it may be on purpose. Sometimes I miss some of these things, right? And a lot of times, it's, I don't show everything because I want people to actually look at it and go, oh my God, look at this. I didn't even notice this. Or Chris missed this too. And that's fine because we're all in it together. It's all a learning curve, right? We're all trying to find this stuff. And, it's like you can envision if you were standing there, what these things would look like, right? How big they would be, how many of them there are, so on and so forth, right? Dan Hopper, speaking of shirts, you should get some for the channel. That might be actually in the works there. I've been thinking about that myself. Have the logo and stuff like that. What do you guys think? Good idea? Bad idea? I don't have a problem with that because I got several because I had done my old banner I had on my other shirts. Now the banner's changed since then, and I was actually I had them on, and so I had a couple people approach me. Oh, wow, I watched that channel. I go, oh, I appreciate that. And they're like, huh? They're kind of shaking their head going, oh my God, you're actually him. So yeah, it's kind of cool, right? Let's see. Let me see if I'm not going to spend. Burn Cell. I'm not sure if I'm actually pronouncing that right. Anyway, you're saying best wishes from Germany. Great videos. Appreciate that. Hello from Liverpool, England. Trance 111. Waving a hand over to the big pond there, right? Skunk 421. What's your thoughts on Stanley Kubrick filming some of the footage for NASA? That's weird that you guys. I'm glad you guys picked up on that. But it's if you think about how they did this, the only thing I can say is that from all of the research I've done, I think they made some of that up in case something went faulty. They're doing it for the PR move. In other words, just saying, we'll make this stuff up. We'll film it, make it look good. They're collecting rocks. You can see what they're doing. And then and if you notice, some of these photos absolutely look like they're almost like staged. And then there's some that are not. Which ones aren't they? How can you tell the difference? Well, the difference is they're hiding stuff in some of these photos. And some of them are crystal clear. If you ever noticed that? Some of them look really, really hazy in the background. I'm going to call them buttes. It's like lunar buttes, right? Or mountains. They always look retarded. They always look like they're faked, like they're CGI'd the crap out of it. It's because they did. I think it's because they're hiding things in there. And if you guys watch my recent, water's creeping up on me. If you guys watch the videos that I've done about the moon lately, you can actually see they look like fake in the back, but there's actually bits and pieces of whatever they're hiding sticking out, right? So yeah, I mean, I believe they did that in case a couple reasons. Again, something failed. They did it so they can again feed this BS to the public, and then they were doing the real mission, right? They were really going up there to like a reconnaissance mission. That's what I believe, and that's. I mean, I think a lot of you guys are on board with that as well, right? Richard Pina, hello. Andrea Augusto, good evening. And Santarem, Brazil, accompanying the broadcast. Hey, what's going on? Good to have you on board. Disclosure TV, hey, what's up, Mars Anomalies? What's going on? Good to see you in there. Man, this thing, I'm trying to do this slowly, and this thing just literally jumped ahead like 40 people. That's crazy, right? American Rebel, why is it I can see so much more than's being talked about on my phone, which is a Samsung Galaxy Android. It's one of the larger ones, I believe. You know, the cool thing about having a phone, and I know you guys will agree with this, is that a lot of these newer phones have a resolution that's ungodly, right? I mean, compared to some of the PCs, I mean, they're just smoking clarity. And this is probably the reason why. I mean, I've got a high definition, monitors. I got two of them here. High definition, really good, GPU in the computer. I mean, really, really good stuff. But sometimes on a smaller screen, everything's, because you're watching it on a screen, it's like, what, 6 inches, 7 inches, whatever it may be. Probably 5 to 6 inches, but is more than norm. Or unless you're watching on a tablet, which could be 7, 10 inches, whatever. But it seems like the quality is actually so much better because you're watching on a much smaller screen. So, yeah. Boom Osby, I'm in Kosovo also. Sweet. I think it's KOP. Yeah, Cop. Hello from Ireland, Chris. Love your channel. Appreciate that. Mike Hoover. Chris, why would they give us pics they know damn well we can dissect? Well, again, they didn't think we were going to do that back in the day, right? Because we couldn't. We didn't have Photoshop back in the day. In fact, from what I understand, NASA was using GIMP for the longest time. You guys can get GIMP. It's free on the internet. But this goes way back. This is not something that was for the public back in the day. So now that I believe that they know that people are starting to go into these, and they're literally, I've had this happen to me where I had a photo of, let's say I want to throw an example of Apollo 17, right? And I had this particular photo and I could see some crazy things in it. I get the updated version. It's like totally washed. Why would that be? You know what I mean? So it makes you wonder, are they going back into these things and actually doing that? You know what I mean? They're actually changing these things, washing them out, taking the details out, going over them again. And then they're just, one by one reposting them back on wherever they have them on for the public, right? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I had one particular photo on a backup hard drive, and I had it on there for years. I go to look at it, the same one, it's totally washed. It's like completely white. It's like, what the hell? So doesn't surprise me. Nacho Libre. Oh my God, us from Denmark never get mentioned. Well, you just did. Welcome aboard, man. Good to have you guys in there. Ontario, Canada here. What's going on? Did you read the book by Lou Baldwin called Mars and the Planet Man? No, I don't think I have. I think I've heard of it, but I've never read it. Best TV. Hi, Chris. I'm just wondering if you actually believe NASA is providing distance and size of the moon, or have ever questioned the numbers given through your observations. Not really per se. I mean, as far as the size of the moon and stuff like that, or the distance rather, no, I was never given any reason to. Although, of course, you look at it because you can, if you look through like a telescope, it looks so much closer, right? So a lot of people question that, like, well, look how come I can zoom into it like that? Well, it's still pretty darn large. We have one of the largest moons per size of a planet than most, or to think about just any planet in our solar system. Ours is the largest moon for size of planet. So our neighbor is larger than any other planet out there, their moons. So that's why we could see it so darn easy. If it was the size of like Phobos, Deimos, as far as the two moons of Mars, yeah, you probably have a real problem finding, well, not really finding, but you can see it, but it just wouldn't be nearly as large, right? So, yeah. Well, Tommy Wiley, rather. I never downloaded photos from NASA. I always get them from Ken Johnson Archive. Absolutely. Ken has, and now don't get me wrong, him and I have talked. We're friends. We've talked. And I told him right now, I said, yours have been actually screwed with too. However, they have been not messed around like all the other copies. It was 5 copies. And he was ordered to throw all 5 of them away, which he had 2 of them left. And they told him, he says, you can do whatever you want with them. So he took that as like, okay, I'm going to swipe them, right? So he took the 3, tossed them in the dumpster, and had the other 2. One he kept, and one he gave to a university, which disappeared not long after that. So yeah, it makes you wonder. But what was it? What was his name? James Oberg. If you remember him, he's one of the biggest naysayers going, oh, they never did anything wrong. They never, altered their photos in any way, shape, or form, so on and so forth. And it was funny because I'd done a video on that, and he was all over my video saying, oh, you don't even have the right photo. I said, well, please supply it. So he gives me the link to the photo. It's completely washed out, complete garbage. I said, really? You call it a photo? Come on now. Yeah. That's the best place to get it because he's got better photos than the ones they're putting on Flickr, Tommy. So, yeah, you're right. I would rather go with the ones that Ken has up on his archive site. Skunk 420. Chris, do you have opinion on flat Earth? Absolutely not. It's so bogus today. I can't believe everybody's thinking in the ancient times. I actually have a video saying the world is not flat. You know what I mean? You can look it up. All you got to do is get in a plane, fly 40,000 feet in the air, cruising speed, and you can see there's actually a curvature right from that. And there's so many other, in fact, there's a lot of, what was their names? Oh, there were several of these guys on YouTube. They did a documentary and totally got blasted out of the water after they found out they disproved them. And you don't have to believe a word I say. I mean, if you ever been in a plane, just look down, man. You're in 40,000 feet cruising speed, look down, and you can actually see a slight curvature. And I did that. I actually put a line across the photos I've taken with my camera right out the window. A lot of people say that the windows from planes actually distort, give you this kind of weird fisheye, which is not true. Like I said, in my video, I blow that out of the water. It's hard to believe that people in this day and age still believe that crap. You can understand medieval people that they're like, I don't know. Why would they believe that? I mean, they wouldn't believe it's round. Why would they just go by whatever they say? And I guess we can use the same reasoning today, but the thing is we have technology to prove that it's actually round, right? So, I mean, don't get me wrong, you don't want to bash people believing that. That's their beliefs. But, I wish people would start actually researching it and not listening to these people on the internet. Do your own research. It's what I tell everybody when I make my videos. Do your own research. You don't have to believe a thing I say. And it just makes it a whole lot easier for people. So, let me see. Greystone Gardens, he got butthurt. He said, BS, no curve. F this, I'm out of here. Hey, listen, believe what you want. I mean, I'm not here to dictate what you people should believe. I'm just telling you that I've been in a plane. I've been there. I've been in a plane. I've seen, what was that other? There's people who've taken pictures of bridges, these long bridges, right? And they absolutely have a curve to them. You can literally see them disappear. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's not what we're here for. Watershed 44. Gene Roddenberry was given some very top secret information from NASA, U.S. Air Force, Space Command, and they create theater to make such real things seem implausible to most people. That's true. Absolutely. Chuck Craig. Hi, Chris. What do you think about the theory that Mars was once a moon? I've heard that myself. I really haven't gotten into that too much, so I really can't give you too much on that. But that's what I heard too. It was actually from another planet that is now the actual, asteroid belt. And, the main planet was anyway, and then that was a moon. Whether that's true or not, I didn't do enough research in there, so I really can't weigh too much into it, right? Let's see. Supreme Wizard, alien disclosure is getting closer. Way too much evidence. And I have to agree. You guys have done this. I'm not the only channel you guys watch, right? So you've seen a lot of other channels where you can see things either on the moon, other Martian or Mars videos. There's just too many things out there that show. Just blow it out of the water that we're the only ones here. That's, that's all there is to it, right? Maddie McCarthy, hi. Hi. Hello, how are you? Let's see. F1 disclosure. Exactly, Ruth Cormac. A form of covert disclosure with plausibility, deniability. Absolutely. Let's see. Multigrain pasta. Hi, Chris. Huge fan. Is your accent from New York or Boston? Close. Rhode Island. Born and raised. Then we moved down here in 2004. So, yep. Let's see. Dan Hopper, you're not the only one, but definitely the most credible. Well, like I said, I believe in keeping it real. You know what I mean? Now, am I always right? No. You know what I mean? There's no way to, like I said, vet a lot of this stuff, right? All we can do is look at the pictures, analyze them, and then come up with our, that's why I always tell you guys have the last word, because your guess is as good as mine. All I can do is just tear these photos apart, bring them to you guys. We analyze it. You guys see things I don't, vice versa. And that's pretty much it, right? That's all you can do. You and the real Jimmy Rounds have some convincing stuff. Jackie Chili is 007. Well, like I said, that's all you can do is just keep it real. Let's see. Tell me, Wiley, I saw a massive pipeline on the struts in your moon video two days ago. Is the most convincing thing yet. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of you guys gave me thumbs up on the last video I did with all of these weird structures and stuff like that. I mean, it looks like a bloody city, man. I mean, you look at these things, it just looks like it's all laid out almost perfectly, right? It totally blew me away when I found the amount of stuff I did. I thought maybe a structure you might find, whatever, but I never thought in a million years I'd find the stuff I did, and that's being truthful with you guys. Alice Vargas, Rhode Island, 26 years. What part? I was over here, and I was like 4 miles north of Providence. I lived in Cumberland. Let's see. Supreme Wizard. Yes, a forest on Mars. Forest, lakes, atmosphere. You know what I mean? Water cycle. How much more do we need? Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'll give you guys the link to this. First of all, let me do this. For all the guys that were thinking that maybe, I said this earlier, I was going to give this to you guys, but I didn't. I'm going to drop this link right here. This is the one from, and it's called Apollo 15 Lunar Rover Deployment. Now, what happened was, it was a lot of companies, big companies were bidding, to make this rover, right? And Boeing is the one that got the top bid, and they're the one that designed it. So I'm going to drop the link in there. You guys can check that out. And then it's, you can see it there. So you guys can save it or whatever. So let's see. The other one here says something on Mars is producing gas usually made by living things on Earth. And I'll just read a small part of this for you guys. Methane gas periodically wafts, I like the way they say it, wafts into the atmosphere of Mars. That notion, once considered implausible and perplexing, is now widely accepted by planetary scientists. Why the methane is still, is still bewildering mystery. And may even point to a present-day Martian microbes living in the rocks below the surface. Let me see. What part was this? It was pretty good, too. That is noteworthy because NASA's Curiosity rover has been exploring the region since 2011. And in the summer of 2013, it, too, measured a marked rise in methane in the air that lasted at least 2 months. Get that. And they say it's seasonal. When do we get a lot of more methane? It's when the trees are growing. A lot more stuff is going on. There's animals and microbes and stuff eating a whole lot more and so on and so forth. A lot more cows. Let me see. There's a part down here. The presence of methane is significant because the gas decays quickly. Calculations indicate that sunlight and chemical reactions in the thin Martian atmosphere would break up the molecules within a few hundred years. So any methane detected may have been created recently. Get that. I'm going to drop that link to you guys as well. You guys can check because it goes on too. It's not, I didn't read the whole thing. So you guys can check that out as well. These are just things that are just popping up, man. You got to just read these things and, research this stuff yourself, right? And it actually shows a view of Mars taken by the European Space Agency's Mars Express spacecraft in 2016. And you can actually see it if you put this in Photoshop. Guess what? You can see a thin layer of blue atmosphere, right? A lot of you guys are questioning that. You said, why is it that suddenly we're seeing a lot more pictures of blue sky as opposed to, the brown, crappy color we were getting before? They just kind of just slowly letting the cat out of the bag, saying, no big deal. What, Tommy Wiley, I saw the stuff you did, but I always look everywhere else and hunt for more stuff, and I always find loads. I'm always scrutinizing everything. I'm sorry, everywhere in these photos. Good for you. That's the way to do it. That's exactly the way to do it. Jump on the stuff and tear it to pieces. MG Toe. Methane gas is produced by farts people and animals created. Well, it's not just that, it's microorganisms. And again, they're feeding on something, right? What are they feeding on? So, whether it's algae, whatever the heck it may be, again, it is some kind of life on this planet. And if you got a little bit of life, you can almost bet there's a lot more going on than they're saying, right? How many times have we seen these photos? Now, some of them are just like, what do they call those? They're either hot pixels or burnt pixels in a camera, right? Or a photo. And then some of them are not. You can actually see a blur behind it, like this particular object is flying in a certain direction, right? Supreme Wizard, methane equals life. And I agree. Some sort of life. It doesn't have to be just people walking around or some kind of beings. It could be just something right down to algae, just small, these little, down at a molecular level, right? Let's see. Henrik Sorensen. I saw two big dish antennas to the top of the picture in your second last moon video. Yeah, I mean, you're not the first one who said that. There's other people have seen it as well. And that's, and again, taking the time to go over these things. I usually show you guys the biggest things that stand out, right? Now, there's a lot more smaller things. And I think one of you guys had replied, said something about there's a bridge. And I seen that. I just failed to mention it in my video. But it doesn't matter. The thing is, you guys are actually doing that for me. You're actually pulling this stuff apart. Do you think they are trying to terraform? Says Sean Moriarty. This may be the reason why Dr. John Brandenburg, rather, said that he had seen two large explosions in the atmosphere. Was it us trying to kick it off? Of course, it's just, getting all sci-fi on you guys, but is it possible that's happened? Where they say, okay, there's no life in there any longer than, you know what I mean? So why don't we try to do something with the atmosphere and try to get it kicked off? And then by, you're talking 1941, he saw these two bright explosions right there in the Martian atmosphere. Funny enough, it was right next to the face of Cydonia and another area to the northeast of that. There was a largest one next to the face of Cydonia and then a smaller one. So makes you wonder, right? And the funny thing about it is, where are all these rovers and landers? Just south of those explosions. Imagine that. Roy Gutfinsky. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I don't mean to butcher your last name if that's it. My take on this is that NASA has so much higher resolution images on this stuff. They know the truth, but are trying to keep everything speculative with no firm smoking gun available to the public. And you're right. I mean, I think a lot of these photos start off with like pristine, absolute pristine resolution. And after they put a layer on it, they filter it, put all kinds of obfuscations, do their work to it. It turned out to be low-res garbage. At least it appears that way. I have a feeling they have some kind of computer that has an algorithm that can lift these layers, and you can still see it. You know what I mean? In other words, you'll be able to see the original. I don't think we'll ever get that, but it'd be nice. Let's see. Da Vinci glow on the moon tonight, right? Oh, I'm not sure. Terry Young. Whenever I tell people about Mars and moon anomalies, they think I am crazy. But nevertheless, I know what I see. Until proven otherwise, I will go with what I see. And that's the truth, man. I mean, that you got to, you got to keep it real yourself. You can't just go, well, I see it, so therefore I'm just going to ignore it. You can't do that. It should at least, raise you saying, well, you know what I mean? What's going on here? Until you further research it. Keep in mind, a lot of people who are not even interested in any of this stuff is going to think you're whacked. And I mean, just be honest, because, and I've said this before in my videos, ask any of your friends, say, what do you think about the latest photos from the Curiosity rover? They'll look at you like you got 5 heads. Why? Because they're not into this particular thing. And it's sad that they're not. But once a lot of these people have gotten woken up to it, like some people have told me, hey, Chris, I've been watching these other videos and somehow this got suggested to me on my right-hand side. So I decided to watch it. And I'm glad I did. I never knew this stuff. So then they jumped on board. They're starting to do their own research. There you go. Let's see. Progressive psyche. Yep. Think. That's what it's all about. Let me see. Do you think Bob Lazar is telling the truth? He actually sounds pretty, I've seen old videos of what he was doing, what he saw when he was working at Area 51 and all that stuff. And I actually believe he's the real deal. He's actually had other, what was it about? What he had, I think you've seen, I don't know if you guys seen the video of Bob Lazar at his house where he had he had built his car and I don't know what gas it was that he was, he's running on and everything else, but he had his own production. It would make its own gas and stuff like that. And he had these 2 tanks in his car. So he's definitely an engineer. I mean, there's no kidding about that. And, I think he's the real deal. I really do. I mean, he's been around far too long. Not that it doesn't mean he's telling the truth there, right? But when you actually watch him, he actually sounds and looks like the real deal. And there's no reason for me to believe he's not, When will NASA actually reveal the truth? Israel is now soon to be on the moon too. Well, yeah. I mean, again, all of these people, all of these countries are going there. Why? It's a dead rock up there. There's nothing more than rocks and dust. Yeah, so by all means, let's spend millions of dollars just to go up there and go, let's collect some dust. Come on, man. I mean, Jesus. It's crazy how people think. I mean, it's just like, they're not up there for rocks, they're saying, well, we're going to send up a lander. We're going to take some rock samples and stuff like that. And we're going to bring it back. You already done that. Did an Apollo mission, supposedly, right? Yeah. Heath B, I do. Bob Lazar predicted there would be an element 115. There you go, right? Equalizer. Interesting comment. We've never been to the moon. They said they lost the technology and we're having to redevelop it. That never happens. It's an evolution of engineering and science. You can't lose it. That's true. So you should red flag that right off the bat. I don't believe that for a minute because if I was in their shoes, I'd lose it purposely. Why? It's outdated. It's crap. The technology we got today. Now, understand though, before I say this, is that if you guys were to research, especially the one I just gave you guys about the lunar buggy on the Apollo missions, when you see that what looks like that goldish tin foil kind of thing, the reason why that was like that is because it's a cargo area. It's not for the astronauts. The astronauts sat on top. All the equipment was on the bottom, including the lunar rover. And you can watch that and you can see how they actually put this together. The wheels fold up and everything else. It's crazy how they did it. But the technology back then was far more superior than you think. Even though they had just simple monetary switches and toggle switches for yaw and roll and all this other crap, NASA knew what they were doing at all times. They can monitor everything that they hit and on and off and what the thing was doing, trajectory and all that. They would do it automatically. And then, of course, they had to, at some point, they had to do it manually because they overshot their landing. I believe that was Apollo 11. And it's just crazy. I mean, they had the technology more than you think back in the day. They really did. Again, just research it. Stop watching these other videos where people, oh, no, they never went. They never went. They never went. You could be easily, convinced that they didn't. But that's why I'm saying just go ahead and research it. And if you research it and you still come up with the same thing, then that's what you believe. I mean, I can't change your mind, right? But they did go. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And like I said, I would crap can their technology back in the day too. I really would. Start from scratch. You got so much more technology now. It's not even funny. And I've said this before. I said when they had the Blackbird back in the day when it was designed, what was in the 50s, and wasn't known to the public until the 90s. Think about this a minute. If you to make the cockpit airtight for, one, maybe two astronauts, right? You retrofit the engines. You can go out and you can literally take off, kind of like the shuttles, right? Lift off, take off, go into space, come back. Why can't you? You could be out and they built the ISS. Why can't they go to the moon with it and then take back off? You don't need a whole lot of fuel taking back off from the moon, right? Not a whole lot of gravity on the moon. So think about that a minute. So many other things could have been going on, and you would have never seen the Blackbird. You would have never seen that top secret plane, because it was meant to dodge radar rather. So there you go. I'm not saying that's what happened, but why not? Why is it so far-fetched to believe that? I have, James McClure. Hey, Chris, have you ever checked out John Leonard Walson's YouTube channel? I have. He's got some interesting stuff, I have to admit. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, because there's several people I follow, that he's actually had things that were outside the moon's, I'm going to say orbit, or if it was, outside the moon itself, and had some really weird looking lights and things that were flying around it, and I think even away from the moon. Mike Hoover, look where they land. That's what I'm saying, man. Look at some of these craters, like the Tycho crater, like the one I just showed you guys. There's something weird in that, right there in the top, and that's right smack dab in the middle of that crater. And you can see where they've actually fudged over that area. And for some reason, they left that. Maybe they thought it was a rock. But the way that thing looked, it looked like some kind of weird framework. It looks like some kind of, I don't know what. It didn't look normal. It didn't look natural, let's put it that way. It didn't look like its surroundings. It stuck out like a sore thumb, right? Kevin Snyder, Chris, being friends with Billy Carson, do you not agree that NASA is a front agency that went dark for the secret space program? I believe there is. I believe two things. One, two things about the moon and Mars. I believe there's two separate entities, and the one entity is the people who are doing the regular work, meaning, we're watching, what was her name? It was a woman. She was Indian. She was talking about she's on the actual Curiosity team, and she's the one that gives it commands, right? And of course, it can drive autonomously. But these are the people that are working on it, saying, "Okay, we're drilling for stone. We're navigating it. We're doing this. We're doing that for it." That's the regular public part of it. And then there's the black ops kind of thing, where you guys do know there's like 17 cameras on this, right? And you probably get to see maybe 10. You guys know that, right? Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of it, this may be acting as navigation cams too. So in other words, when it backs up, it knows where it's going and everything else. But the nav cams and the rear nav cams are also for, autonomous drive. And then again, the same thing applies with the moon. There's people who built these capsules and everything else, thinking it was we're just building a capsule, man. They're just going to the moon, getting some rocks. And then there's the black ops part of it. So when supposedly the link, when everybody's watching TV, it went dead for like 20 minutes. How do we know what they were doing? And they were up there for like 2 or 3 days. How do you know? How do you know what these guys were doing, at night, our night? Of course, some of you guys would be daytime, if some of us are night, right? But when they say, okay, they're going to sleep for the night, how do we know they weren't? I mean, it's light almost all the time. Well, not all the time, but on the moon, there's a lot of light. And they're probably doing all kinds of research and taking pictures and everything right then and there. How do we know? You know what I mean? Let's see. Kevin Snyder, thanks for answering my question. Well, no problem. ROL. Raul, right on, brother. Let me see. Mike Hoover, yeah, hell yeah. They're on the moon, or the hunt for technology. Plain and simple. They have a lot, by now. And that's true. At least I believe that. Again, you go up there one time and let's say it's a successful mission, right? You've collected the rocks, taken core samples, done everything you're supposed to do. Let's say this is the real deal now. They've done it all. Been up there. Why would you need to go back there X amount of missions after? Why would you need to do that? You've already gotten the samples, right? Why keep going back? You collect all the rocks, or at least take pictures of the rocks if you can't bring them all back, obviously, right? Take the rocks you need, take this core samples from the ground, the dust, whatever it may be, bring it home with you, got the pictures. Why do you need to keep going back? There's got to be a reason for it. And it's the same thing that's going on with Mars right now. There's a big bum rush. Russia was in there, what? Was it 2017? It was near the end of the year in 2017. They went up there. Nobody heard a word about it after. They went up there, said they were going up. They were sending a probe or an orbiter to Mars, and that was the end of it. Never heard of another word. Has anybody else? Yeah, more and more companies going. India's there. S is there. Of course, NASA. I mean, there's so many people that are going there now for a dead planet. Imagine that. Your Highness, helium-3. Yep. Rafa, hi, Chris from Australia. Hello, what's going on? You could read a newspaper from space with the technology we have. NASA is hiding its programs. And it's absolutely true. If you go back, well, just research the, was it the USSR at the time, where they were building their own little space station to spy on the United States and other countries, and we were doing the same, right? And they had technology then. You could be in a lounge chair in your backyard and read a newspaper, and they can see what you're doing. They had it back then, guys, back in the 50s. Come on. You're telling me we haven't progressed? I don't believe it. I mean, hell, just look at the phones. I mean, since 1990 to now. What's it going to be like another 50 years? The technology is jumping by leaps and bounds. Are you kidding me? Strange how we're still using the same rockets, right? Atlas V's, we're still using those. For how many years now? Pet Ventures. This Earth Day, April 22nd, Inside is encouraged to disclose the truth. That's what I would do. Just get it out, man. That's what it's all about. That's true too, Louis. Scalf. They will hold technology back until they can profit off of it, which is true. Absolutely true. I love the idea, though. I mean, they do come up with these new technologies for these missions, right? And then, of course, we get the watered down version of it, or we get the usable version of it, like microwaves. I mean, it's basically just radio waves. It's all it is, right? So, it gets watered down to us and stuff like that. So we get the technology from it. I don't see anything wrong with that. If they're making new technologies for these missions, eventually we get it to the public. So, yeah. Dale Brinsfield, do you think the U.S. is hiding the fact of aliens existing? Yes. Well, what the hell was it? In Europe, they're kind of free to talk about it. They actually disclose everything. Even, I think, what was his name? I forget what his name is now. Maybe you guys can help me out. The president from, was it Mexico? I mean, they're free to talk about it. They talk about it like it's like, oh, we've seen it in the sky, therefore there it is. They'll show you pictures and everything. They're not afraid. Why would you hide it? What's the big deal? I mean, people ain't stupid. I mean, with the growing amount of people with cameras and phones and stuff like that, and they're all looking up at the sky, man. I mean, it's right there in your face. No, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, unfortunately, you're right there, Mike Hoover. He says, Chris, to actually see true pics and video of the real deal, you would have to, work your way into the system. Yeah, I'm hoping Anomalies would do that one day. Yeah, they would just jump in there and just actually pick it apart, but that'd be good to find, right? Your Highness, yeah, Brookings Institute says we can't handle the truth. That's absolutely true. A lot of people say, well, why don't they just tell us? Well, that's what, they think. Again, we're just a bunch of dumb yard apes that don't have a clue. That we'd be frightened out of our skin that, ooh, there's other people out there. I think most people just, forget about watching videos. I think a lot of people just well, I mean, look, I see it up in the sky. I see all kinds of crazy stuff in the sky. What is it from? Is it from all of us? Is it our high tech? I'm sure it is. Is it only ours? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Let's see. American Rebel. Yeah, good seeing you, man. You have yourself a good night. Jack T. Chris, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence and their role in our world? Uh, if you go by, let's see. I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, we have a lot of artificial intelligence now. When you get these automation, for like machines and stuff like that, doing work for everybody. Um, a lot of people are, scared of that kind of thing, and rightfully so. When you watch like iRobot, things like that, how these things like learn for themselves, and next thing you know, they're killing off everybody, and there's a new world order, so to speak. And that's always a possibility because if you make something that can learn, well, it's going to continue to learn, right? So I know Elon Musk is like that. He's just totally afraid of that kind of thing, and I can understand that. Um, they say, well, even if you put a fail safe in there, will it overcome it? Will it block it? Will it do something, whatever, and just become a lot smarter than man himself? And if that happens, we're all dead. At least that's what everybody thinks, right? I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. I think it can be very helpful, but it can be scary at the same time, right? Scale of the Tycho crater boulder. Noodles. I'm not sure. I'm not sure off the top of my head how big the crater is itself. You'd have to look that up. And keep in mind, they said that was the center of the actual crater. So that was pretty much sitting pretty much in the center of it. And if you watch that video that I linked in the actual video, you'll see it in my comment section. I always kind of like pin it up there in the top of the comment section. You'll see if you go down to that video and watch it, you can see where it kind of pans from left to right. And you can see it's kind of pretty much in the middle. So you have to understand how big it is. And then it's kind of like a guesstimate, right? Because there's really no way to actually figure out exactly how big this thing is. But from the looks of it, it's a good sized piece. I mean, it's not huge, but it's good size, right? Oops. This thing jumped again on me. Wow. Nacho Libre. Yeah, exactly. UFOs are not a huge deal here in Europe. Most people won't talk about it and knows nothing about the subject whatsoever and laugh their asses off if you talk about it, which is really weird because they were, if I'm not mistaken, they basically disclosed this to the public. It's like you can literally go and check this stuff out yourself. You can literally check it out. And yet everybody kind of laughs it off. It's like, well, you can laugh it off if you like, but I think it's even more hilarious if, people actually sit there and go, yeah, I look up at the night sky and I go, yeah, we're the only ones here in the universe. I don't believe that. Have you guys read the latest CIA Adam and Eve document? This is proof that the planet undergoes periodic disaster. The document is an apocalyptic read. Go to the U.S. website, and I believe that. Again, even the Mayans believe that we're in the fifth cycle, right? And who was it? There was what's his name? Cox, where he talks about that we're like a civilization with amnesia. And I totally agree with him because I think this planet has gotten catastrophic events and man was pretty much almost killed off. So they had to start from scratch. It's like going back to like caveman time, only you got a brain and you can do things. But what do you do when you have nothing? I mean, you literally just about the whole population dies and you got to start off by trying to struggle to live. And then of course, the population comes back. Technology comes back. It's like we don't forget about the technology. There's just no way to build it because everything's pretty much been torn to pieces, right? So I believe it's happened more than once. Yeah. And This is the reason why they're saying they're finding these bones, ancient bones that go way back more than they thought man even existed. At least, intelligent man, right? Kevin Snyder, hey Chris, speaking of microwaves, what are your thoughts on 5G actually being a weapon system that is being portrayed as a communications? Yeah, I mean, I've heard about that too. I don't know how true that is. I mean, they had one, it was I don't know if you guys have seen this, because I'm not even sure if that's even 5G, but they had a weapon. It almost looked like a flat directional dish on some of these army vehicles where they literally pointed at whatever object they want. And they had a couple people standing there and they said, we're going to flip this on and flip it off. And when they did that, they went, oh, they literally, you could see these people like just cringe. And they said, well, what did that feel like? And they said, I felt like I was being cooked from inside. That's just crazy. So, yeah, I don't know if all of that's going to be used as a weapon. I guess you could use it like that, right? But, it makes you wonder, how come nobody's ever used these things? Like a massive EMP from outer space. They could literally do that. They could literally just point at a country, just zap everything and just kill it all. And everybody's basically thrown back in the what do you call it? The dark ages, right? James Gruenfelder, question: do you think there's current alien activity on the moon and or Mars, or just prior civilization? No, I think there still is. I've seen more than one amateur, live feeds, people doing it. You can see like little crafts come right out of the center of these craters, and then to couple that, you got the stuff that we just been finding recently. So yeah, I believe it's still, and some of this stuff looks pristine. And then you can look at parts of the moon where stuff looks like it's been devastated. So I don't know if you go by ancient times when they talked about there was wars on the moon. Is it true or is it just sci-fi? Who knows? I wasn't there, so there's no way of knowing, right? I think there was past civilization as well as one right now actively living there. David Lee, have you ever reviewed an uncensored pic? Yeah, some of them are like crystal clear, but guess what? They're close to the rover, or like if you look at the ones on the moon missions, they literally have, like, the astronaut will be looking at a rock and it's so close that you don't see anything in the background. So there's really nothing, if it's something to do with the background, you can always see it's been either, it's been altered somehow, it's been fudged over, so yeah, I mean, it's crazy. The Cisco, appreciate that, man. Appreciate the donation. I think we came from Mars in the past. The planet looks beautiful, and the gravity would make it life easier for us. Absolutely. Many people have believed that to begin with. And like I said, it doesn't surprise me, because think about this. If we came from Mars, and again, we had a pending doom. We knew there was a doom coming. We can actually see it coming, kind of like we do now. We watch space, right? Outside our solar system or in our solar system, we watch anything that's coming at us. Now, we have seen, how many times you guys heard like this? There's rocks coming from like, it could be 30 million miles away or whatever, or some outlandish number, even 30,000, whatever it may be. They know it's there. So, but how about if they knew there was something that was coming right towards Earth and it was like basically a planet killer? Do you guys think they would tell us or no? I personally don't think they would, because I think there'd be pure pandemonium, social breakdown. Yeah, it'd be just totally crazy. I think they would just say, what's the point? Don't even tell them. It's just going to wipe the planet, and that's going to be the end of it. I mean, that's just the way I think they would do it. Philip Withington, hello, I want to say something. Please watch and say you will. Okay, throw it up there. We'll see what you got. Let's see. Chris, do you think disclosure will come from one of these new billionaire space programs not regulated by the government? Sadly, I don't know if there is any that's not regulated by the government. I mean, even Elon Musk, he's regulated. He's now working with NASA. So, but I'll tell you what, though, if I ever won the lottery, I'd definitely be talking with him. I'd be like, I'll tell you what, I'm going to invest in your company if you just, tell me a little something about about the moon, because you can almost bet he knows. You can almost bet on it. AI will never take over. We can always EMP it. That's true. Unless, of course, it's shielded, because even the government now, they're doing what they can to shield anything they have, like the grids and stuff like that, to try to shield it. Because back in, what was it like back in the late 1800s, when they just had teletype, or the just Morse code key? They had a huge actual, basically, solar flare, and it literally singed the wires on the telephone poles. Can you imagine what that would do today if we had something like that? That would be insane, guys. King Janezda one, I think it was. It just jumped on me here. Um, Religion would be destroyed if alien disclosure happens. Popes, preachers, all would hide if they prove there is no God. I don't know, because a lot of people would say, "Hey, you know what? Um, you know, who was the one? There was somebody had told me that when they read the King James, they said, "Well, that's not true. We would absolutely believe that." I said, "Why is that?" They said, "Well, because back in that particular Bible, it says that there was 99 worlds, and somehow God wasn't happy with this particular one. Therefore, there was the flood and everything else." Now, whether that's true, I mean, my own personal opinion, I don't believe that's true. But I don't. What I strongly believe is, I don't think people would freak out about it, because they'd say, "Well, where did they come from?" So, God made everything, right? Made the universe, and boom, there you go. So if that's true, then it made everything and everyone. So if that's true, there, yeah. Nobody's better than Chris at spotting these anomalies. My eyes have definitely been open. Thank you. Well, thank you, Wayne. I appreciate the gift there as well, Wayne Slater. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I enjoy doing this stuff. I do. And I know a lot of you guys have been going crazy with this. In fact, a lot of you guys, I've seen some of you guys are actually making your own videos. That's awesome. That's cool, because there's more and more people starting to do it. And when I start to see people starting to do more, I'll endorse you guys too, because here's the thing. I'm all for anybody trying to find the truth. If you're saying, "Hey, listen, I can see this. I know it's there. I'm just not sure what it is." You're trying. You're trying to expose the truth and trying to find it, right? Fest TV, is Elon Musk even a real person or an actor? No, he's definitely a real person. I mean, he couldn't be more down to earth, because, he's just like you and I. I mean, it's just crazy the way he is. I mean, he's just like a down to earth, smart dude. I mean, he's just going, "Hey, I got a vision, and we're going to do this." And because he's got the money, he's doing it. So, yeah, I think it's awesome that he's actually taking the step. And this is what I love about the guy. He builds a Tesla, he has a Tesla company, right? Builds an electric car, and says, "By the way, nothing's patented, or it's patented, but I'm going to give it out." In other words, all you people, all you other car makers can just learn from it. Have at it. I think that's awesome. You know what I mean? Who does that? And in this day and age, he's saying, "I'm going to share the technology with everybody, get on board, build these things." And there you go. Most people don't have to do that, right? Wow, listen, period. They're not going to sink the ship they're standing on. That's true. uh, the link will help with you, and that's see, and this is the bright side. He explains a secret document in 10 minutes after you can go and read it. It's fascinating. Let's see. James Newton, you put on there Thunderbolts project info. Please research. I have. This is what's crazy about the Thunderbolts project. They claim that the Martian surface has been scarred through these plasma, like lightning bolts and stuff like that. Well, and they say because they can actually, they can simulate it in a laboratory, right? Well, it's kind of like these people who say, well, it's not when they say, it's actually in the southern hemisphere. You look at your toilet bowl and it flushes a certain way as it does in the northern hemisphere. Does that mean because I can stir it and make it go a different way? Is that mean there's a guy stirring it all the time? Oh, because I can simulate that. It means there's a guy flushing your bowl and swirling it a certain direction all the time. No, just because they can come up with something like that, which is feasible, right? It's a possibility. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean that that's the actual cause of it. Now, of course, they do talk about other things, but that was the main thing I got out of them when they're talking about these lightning bolts. There was another body that came close to Mars and lightning storms between the two, and that's what scarred the surface. I don't believe that's the case at all. It's just like our Grand Canyon. Of course, that the I'm gonna I'm gonna forget the name of it, but anyway, that scar is as long as the United States is wide. So, and so that doesn't mean that's the case. I mean, we had what caused our, you know, a Grand Canyon and stuff like that. What caused that? They're saying erosion and so on and so forth. So that could very well be the same case that happened there on Mars because it was a lot like Earth. So, but again, I don't totally discredit them because it's a good possibility, right? It's always a possibility that happened. Sure. Let me see here. Bible actually talked about ETs. They left the those books out of the. Yep, the King James. Yep, look at the books of Maccabees. One of the popes admitted rather to ET life. And yeah, I mean, listen, when you get some of these places and now got their own observatories, right? I mean, there's a reason why they're doing it. Let me guess, they're looking for God or they're actually looking for something more. Yeah, you look at the Vatican, it's got its own observatory now. What would the Vatican need with an observatory? Unless, they're doing the same thing here, guys. I don't know, H.H. Huxley. I don't know if the Grand Canyon was lightning too. I'm not sure. The way they're talking about is basically erosion over X amount of millions of years, right? It wasn't just like over 10 years or whatever. So, yeah, whether that's true or not, I wasn't around to see it, so I can't tell. Kylie Me, who in the chat room knows of the boy from Mars story, Boriska? Yeah, I've seen that. It actually sounds like he's pretty, down to earth, right? Now, whether he's lying, I don't know, but I mean, he's got some pretty fantastic story, right? I mean, it's pretty crazy. If you guys look that up, it's pretty crazy. Astro Kid, when are you and Billy Carson going to get together again? It'll probably be this summer, although I don't know if he'll be in town because, like I said, I'm going to be heading down to Florida myself. And usually when we do, we get together, we chill out, and last time I was down there, it was just on a whim. Hey, what do you say we make a video? So I interviewed him. And we were just hanging out, chilling, and but yeah, we'll probably do it again if he's around. I mean, he's been out of the country for quite a bit there lately. He's been everywhere. He does a lot of research, and that's what it's all about, man. Knowledge is power, and if that's the only way you can enlighten yourself by actually just doing research, right? Collaboration with Sean Ward or Alien Hunter. I wouldn't mind doing that. These guys are both good people. I like, I guess he calls himself Gene Ward. Or John, doesn't really matter. He actually does some really good work. I mean, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I mean, some stuff was kind of like borderline where you go, well, it looks kind of like a boulder to me. And then there's stuff that's irrefutable. I mean, you look at it, you go, that can't be just a natural, rock or, hillside or whatever. Because some of these things have 90-degree angles. And I'm talking like crazy stuff, like these big rocks, kind of like you find like a Mitsubishi and stuff like that. All these different, whether it be Egypt, Mayan temples, so on and so forth. So they got some crazy things there. Let's see. Ancients did travel, unlike we're told. Yeah, well, I mean, just look at the Mahabharata from India. I mean, it reads like a sci-fi flick. I mean, there's great cities in the sky at war with each other, and their weapons are X amount of times brighter than the sun, so on and so. It's like it's crazy. It's just like when you hear about it, you go, were these people sci-fi writers back in the day, and what inspired them to do that? Or did they actually see these things, the real deal? And you know what I'm saying? And they just wrote about what they've seen. Let's see. Paul Bywater. Hey, Chris, great work, great videos. Keep trying to expose NASA as liars. Get the truth out to us, buddy. Well, like I said, here's the weird thing. There's photos where I've seen, because people say, well, how many photos have you actually, do you actually see something in every photo? No, absolutely not. I can, like I said, it's probably 80, 90%. I don't see a thing in. Or they've doctored up so well that I can't get a thing out of it. And there's no point in it. And I was like, I'm not going to try to make something out of it. If it's not there, just, if there's something there and I can enhance it just a little bit to bring it out, great. If not, that's it. Next, move along, right? The Cisco, appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the donation. The BFR by SpaceX is our only hope to return to Mars, our home world. And I believe that's true. I love the idea that, Elon's coming up with these, he's got new propulsion other than the Atlas V. We've been using for a million freaking years. I don't believe that for a minute. I believe we have much more than that. What was it? There was plasma. I asked a friend of mine, and this is what's funny. His son works for NASA. Okay. He's affiliated with the company. In other words, they work hand in hand. And the funny thing about it is I said, hey, what do you think about, they were talking about a plasma drive and no, it wasn't fusion either. There was two different drives. He said, look into this drive. In other words, he just totally said, forget about that one. I think it was the plasma drive. Look into the plasma drive. I said, really? He said no more about it. And here's a guy that uses laptops that have facial recognition, fingerprint, and like voice. You got to do like 3 different things just to get on the laptop. So it's crazy stuff. And, these people, again, it's a company that works hand in hand with them. And, that's what it was, fusion or ion. And that's what he might have said, the ion drive. Look at the ion. I was like, what? And he didn't say no more about it. He just said, just look into that. That was it. Alien Hunter does great work, Mark Norris. Yeah, he does. I mean, I've actually gave him credit. In fact, I think I even did something on one of his videos that he did. And I said, guys, go check it out because he's doing really good work too. I've seen some mind-blowing stuff that he's done on his video. I'm just like, whoa, good stuff, man. Let me see. AKA, man, I'm here because of secure team. Okay. I don't know how you got there from there to here, but okay, cool. China won't share, though, at least not enough. Listen, I think all of these big space agencies are nothing. They're just, bedfellows. That's what it comes down to. They're all in, it's like I said, they got the United Nations. Well, I think they got the United Space Agencies, and they're just going, hey, guys, let's all work together. We'll help put each other's stuff together. This is the reason why you don't see NASA doing like all of the missions now. They're actually like giving it to different countries to do it. And what they're doing is just saying, okay, well, you guys do this mission to this, you guys do this mission to this, so on and so forth. And then they're just collecting all the info together. Because, somebody had asked me that one time. They said, why do you think one of these countries wouldn't rat on the United States or ESA? Well, if they're all working together, why would you rat each other out? I mean, think about it. I like that, Mike Hoover. China would get their butt spanked by CIA, MIB. Yeah, I mean, but I think they're bedfellows, man. They're in there now too, because think about it, they just went to the moon again, right? With the Chang 4. How much did you guys hear about it after that? Got a couple pitches. That was it. That was it. Didn't hear another word. Same thing that happened with the Chang 3. We're up there. Suddenly there's a malfunction. The rover shut down, and it did not. There's ham radio operators from around the world could hear the thing still pinging. So when they said it was down, it was still running. Because when it pings, it's saying basically, hello, I'm doing good. I'm still working. And these guys have said it was shut down. It was frozen because the solar panels could not close. Therefore, the coal literally made it malfunction. So, yeah. Equalizer. Good seeing you in there, man. I see you. Sorry, got to go. Hopefully catch your next stream. Yeah, we're going to try to do this, like I said, unless something comes up where you can't. But every Sunday, 8 p.m. You can share all kinds of questions, and if you guys got ideas for the channel. Again, like I said, I started the channel. I bring you guys this stuff, but it's our channel. It's your channel now too, because it's what it comes down to. I don't have anybody viewing it. Guess what? There's no channel, right? And a lot of the interactions, what I like most, because we learn a lot. I learn a lot from you guys just as much as you might learn from me. So don't feel like you're just like, oh, we're just sitting there back and watching. You're not just doing that. We're all learning together, right? Astro Kid every week, great. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I like the idea of getting in here and doing this stuff, and it's like it helps everybody out, and great comments and questions and stuff like that, right? So, let me see. So it's what it's all about to me. This is the best channel on YouTube. Well, I appreciate that, Sarah. I don't know if that's true, but I appreciate that. By the way, HX Huxley, I got the picture you gave me. I'll be doing a video on that. The one you had pointed out, there's certain things. It was on the hieroglyph or the petroglyph about the plane. You had sent me that photo, so I'll be doing a video on that just to give you the heads up. And of course, you'll get, the heck is that? Yeah, you'll get the full prop for it, by the way. And, because you pointed out a couple things there. And I think it's interesting what you found. And so I'm going to do a quick video on that as well. Jerry McDowell, thanks for opening my eyes. I had no idea. Well, again, there's things I'm finding out. Listen, I don't know if you guys ever heard the saying, but they said, if you don't learn something new every day, then you stop learning. And so I try to learn something new every day. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? Mars Live. Hey, Chris. What's going on, Mars Live? What's happening? Haven't heard from you in a while. Haven't seen you. Just wonder what's going on. Paul Bywater. Chris, do you think the human race will ever succeed or will keep failing? Whew, man, that's a tough one. If we continue on the way we're doing, we're going to continue to fail. Yeah. The thing is, we have to stop depending on, think about it. What is the biggest wars going on? It's got to do with oil. It's got to do with resources. If everybody had their own, who would be feuding? Now, don't get me wrong. There's still other things like religion and stuff like that. It still fires up wars, and it's, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But if you were to weed out the smallest things, which turn into big things, but if you were to get rid of the reasons why we're fighting and come together as a human being and start recognizing everybody as human beings and brothers and sisters, and we come together as a human race instead of that race and that race, and come on, we'll never succeed. Even if you were, I said this before, I kind of put it in a funny way. I said, even if I was an alien race or one of the people from a different alien, I'd say, I don't want nothing to do with these animals. They can't even get along with themselves. How the hell are we're going to approach them? They're going to kill us off like we weren't even there. So, yeah. Yeah, it's not necessary, but thanks. Oh, yeah, you definitely need a little credit for that, actually, Huxley, because here's the thing. I don't do anybody's photos or I don't talk about a video unless I give them full credit. That's the only way to go. Because I don't think that's right. If it's another find from somebody else, I'm not going to take credit for it. Now, if I find something in addition to what they've done, then I'll say, well, full credit goes to this person. And then, of course, I'll add to it. But that's pretty much it. Have you heard about Ingo Swann and how he remote viewed the dark side of the moon? He also said that the aliens live among us. Also, Robert Bigelow and how aliens live among us. Please don't ignore me. Oh no, trust me, I'm not ignoring it. It's weird because every time I bring down this bar just a little bit, I mean, these things go right through the roof because there's a lot of people commenting. I believe Robert Bigelow. Here's the thing, man. When you see people like this, again, these guys are like multimillionaires, right? And they're building these crafts, they're building these, these planes that can go out into space and stuff like that. These guys are in the know. I mean, why are they doing the things that they do? I I think it was just today, or Elon Musk was talking about. I was watching one of his videos, and he talked about how, oh yeah, we're gonna have a Tesla on Mars. Now, when you think, it's kind of funny because you think, well, one of his cars. No, I'm sure it'll be designed in a way that it can actually be on Mars, right? And electric would be the only way to go anyway. Think about it. I mean, you can make fuels that could do it, but if it's solar powered, power it up, and then drive it around. But yeah, people like Bigelow, Robert Bigelow, people like Elon, and so on and so forth. These people, they know something. And you know what? They got the money to find out first and foremost. Like, in other words, send a probe up there. Nobody has to know it. Get a couple pictures. Who cares if it crashes into the moon or Mars, as long as I get my answer. Done. Nobody needs to know. It's as simple as that. Oh, we're just trying out a couple of rocks, just testing them. And next thing you know, they get their answer, and that's it. They're satisfied, whether it's yay or nay, right? Hmm. That's an interesting question. Progressive psyche. Do you feel in control of your life, or do you feel like food for the machine? No, I believe I'm full control. I mean, there's always that. I guess you're kind of like a slave to the machine, if you will. I guess it's kind of the same, but that's just everyday life, though, right? Get up in the morning, go to work, punch in, punch out, go home, same old thing, repeat the next day. So in a sense, you're kind of like in this rat race, but when you stop and think about, what's outside of Earth, or how something could be part of us, you just feel so much bigger inside, man. It's just the way I feel. Did anyone try to use the Kepler to look at the moon or Mars? I'm not sure about the Kepler, but I know the Hubble has. And people say, well, no, they can't, because it can't, like focus enough in order to, like, because it's so close, right? But that's crap. I mean, you can literally look it up, Google Hubble images of the moon, and they're there. But you would expect them to be a lot better, a lot closer to. In other words, you should be able to see like an ant on a buffalo's backside with that thing pointing at the moon, right? You should be able to see this, like, boom, clear. So I don't believe for a moment that that thing can't see, like, like a square inch on the moon, right down to a square inch. Patchone, hi Chris. Do you think NASA would get more funding if they would just come out and say yes, there are things on the moon? I would sure make donations if they would be true and tell us. Well, here's the thing: a lot of people say, well, if they told the truth, then they get so much funding from us. No, they steal the money. I mean, it was back in 2004, I think it was. There was like, I forget what it was. It was like $14 trillion or $4 trillion missing out of from the deficit. Out of the money from the country, and it's like, where's it going? You know what I mean? It just happened to be missing. Nobody knows where it went. Come on now, they weren't going to McDonald's with it. So darn well, as far as these people are taking this money. Back in the day when the Apollo missions, they wanted people to donate. Look at us. We're going to go to the moons for you people. We're giving you entertainment kind of thing. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Back then, maybe donations from the people was one thing, but not now. Now, it's too much. It's too large. Just the reason why they go, to Congress. Oh, we need a handout kind of thing. Yeah. Oops. Let me see. Patron, Chris, people say save the planet. We will have to learn to take of each other first. Well, we'd have to take care of each other. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, if you can't learn to get along to begin with and survive as a human race, instead of like separate races, yeah. I mean, I just don't see it. These aliens, if they wanted to make contact, at least with the public, they'd be like, no, not you people. Basically, get your crap together, and we want nothing to do with you. So you're just too barbaric at this point. You haven't learned yet. Your Highness, it would expose fake landing sites. I don't know, because in that link that I gave you guys in this last video I did, It's got a bunch of those. I don't know if it's from the LROC. I believe it is because it's on that same page. So when you look at it, you can actually see the landing sites, and you can see where the little moon buggies can, traverse and everything else. And that stuff is the real deal. I mean, you could tell it's real, but look at it carefully when you do see it. You can see like little certain spots, like kind of like fudged over or like a blurriness over them. Yeah, check that out. I did see that. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your name right. I'm not even sure. In 60 Minutes interview, Robert Bigelow says that aliens live among us. They are right under our noses. You should watch. I've seen it. I've actually seen it. And that's what I'm saying. So he knows something. And how did this guy just pull this out of his rear end? He must know something or was told about this. And this is the reason why he's so free to come out with it. Or he's seen it with his own eyes. Or, like I said, these guys are just literally, sent something up to the moon. These guys got the money to do it. All you got to do is approach one of these. I mean, if you had enough funding, you could send your own rocket up, right? They would literally make a rocket for you, send up a CubeSat or whatever. You can go around the moon. Then, of course, it just crashes back into the atmosphere, burns up or whatever. But you could do that yourself if you had enough funding. So it doesn't surprise me, if these guys already did that. Just say, just send that to the moon. And, I want to get real close. I want it to be, maybe orbit the moon one time and then just it can crash it. I don't care as long as I get my answers. And that's what it comes down to. Supreme Wizard, what's your thoughts on Bonnie and Betty Hill, Trevor Walton abductions? I believe they're absolutely real. If you guys read that story on Bonnie and Betty Hill, they literally both took separate polygraphs and they passed with flying colors. They asked different questions at different times. They changed them up. They had them in two separate rooms, and they passed. They passed with flying colors. So what's that tell you? I believe Travis Walton is also, what was that? Fire in the Sky was the name of the movie he did. Really wild movie. And it's kind of scary when you see it, man. And when he was abducted, he's up in the spacecraft. That was just creepy. Just wild. Let me see. Jamie Judd. It's not global warming rather. It's called climate change. It's actually what a lot of people don't know is it's not just Earth, right? A lot of the planets are heating up in the solar system. And if you know anything about the cycles of the moon, I'm sorry, not the moon, but the sun, it's got an 11-year cycle, and it just gets warmer, brighter, and everything else. And so every planet in the solar system does this. It all heats up. So Earth is not the only one. We may be contributing to it. When they talk about global warming, the planet heats up by itself, right? Although I believe we are contributing to it. I don't think we are the only answer to the global warming. I think we are kind of adding to it. But we ain't the sole cause of it. Noodles, methane will kill us. Oh, well. I mean, there's a certain amount of methane given off here on Earth. I mean, unless you're sitting in it, I mean, you're not going to die from it, right? So you wouldn't even know about it. So but for that, not only did the MRO, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, they actually sent that into, I think it was even the Mars Express, but they sent it low into the atmosphere of Mars, and they could sniff this methane out, and so did the Curiosity rover. So it wasn't like a little puff, you know what I mean, like a little smoke cloud or methane cloud. It was actually large enough for this thing to register for over X amount of months. It was like 3-4 months, and then of course it's seasonal. That's when they get the water, right? Oh, well, it's usually seasonal. Okay, so we get methane, we get water. Okay, what's next? Water cycle, we get all kinds of crazy stuff going on there. Yeah. Do you believe in reptilians or it's all baloney? I don't believe in it. I personally don't. Um, is it possible there's other beings out there that look kind of like that? Maybe because they adapted to their planet? Sure. I mean, you have to keep an open mind to a certain degree, right? I mean, you don't have to be gullible and believe everything. But knowing that we are just learning how to walk and we're seeing structures on the moon and what's going on in Mars and the other planets that they're looking at and so on and so forth, um, then you have to at least entertain the idea that's a possibility, right? I haven't really done any research to it. I don't believe that there is, um, but that's just my take. I could be totally off base. I could be totally wrong, right? Wild Bill, righteous. Yep. Sumerian tablets carved in stone, literally. Yep. Oz lies. Have a good one, guys. Later. All right, man. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you coming by. We're gonna be wrapping this up here ourselves. It's already been 9:30. It's been an hour and a half at least. So we're gonna jump on out of here. I was only gonna do about an hour, but yeah, it's good to talk to you guys and talk with you guys and throw some ideas around, so on and so forth. So it's awesome to be able to do that. And if you guys can go back to the links I put on here. One was about the lunar rover deployment and how they put that thing inside the capsule. And then, of course, the other one I've got where I had the, that methane kind of thing going on Mars. I put that link up there as well. Check it out. You'll see it. It's pretty interesting. Sarah Mitchell, yeah. Here's an idea. Invite Buzz Aldrin as a Sunday evening chat guest. Yeah, I'd be happy to fund it. You and me both. I mean, because that's a guy that's, man, I swear to God, I showed you guys a video, and I'm going to bring it up again because there's a couple of things I want to throw together in a moon video showing like some of the anomalies that we found lately. And, again, these guys, man, when they came back, they looked like they lost their mothers, man. I mean, these guys are supposed to be, happy. They, when they were taking off, going on, going into the capsule and stuff like that, and onto the rocket, they're all waving. Everybody's happy, everything's great. Come back, somber mood. Now, I was watching a video today where the people were actually arguing back and forth. Well, they just came from a decompression chamber, so therefore, they're all kind of like groggy. No, they're not. No, they're not. Look at the way they look. I mean, they literally like, oh man, do we have to be here? I mean, we just feel like we're BSing all other people here. You can just see the look on their face. They just like, please let me out of here. You can just see the absolutely disgrace. Like they just didn't want to be there. They felt like every time they answered a question, they were lying to the people, and they were just uncomfortable with that. You know what I mean? Like it's, Buzz was like totally whacked out when he came back. He went into hiding for a while. So yeah, I mean, I think these guys seen something that was absolutely awesome, and they were told, don't say a word about it. We don't want to hear a thing, or else, and there you go. So anyway, guys, I want to jump on out of here. I appreciate you guys stopping by. We'll be doing it again next week. And by the way, I got, like I said, 3 more videos, 3 or 4, actually 4 of them coming up. So definitely jump on those when you see them on there. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. Definitely cool. But it's 9:33 here where I'm at. So you guys have yourself a good night. And we'll see you soon. Peace.